Hello everyone, it's Ryan again at Dark Winter Moon in Boston, and today I wanted to talk about life changes, major traumatic life changes, and how the craft can help us to move through those, and not only to move through them, but to succeed in them, to use them as springboards for greater evolution and spiritual growth and enlightenment. And the way I'm going to show that to you today is by talking about my own experience. So in 2014, I had some really bad news about my health, and it was incredibly traumatic finding this out. And the interesting thing is that if I look back before this incident occurred, I asked for it. I had reached a point in my life where I felt like I couldn't move any further. I was trapped in a job that felt like it was draining my soul, and my craft, my religion, my spirituality had reached a point where I felt like that I had hit a wall. And I'd struggled with this for months before that. And so during this struggle, I asked the gods to help me. I remember driving by myself and thinking and kind of pining about this spiritual and physical stuckedness I was in. And I told the gods, I said, I am willing to do whatever it takes to see this through and to get beyond this point in my life. Please send me what will help me to do that. And I remember at that moment, I looked ahead of me and I saw the setting sun. And I looked in my rearview mirror and I saw the rising moon. And then I knew that they had heard me. And then the unthinkable happened. I found out I was very sick. Found out that I was HIV positive. And that changed my life. And so I had a choice at that point. I could either let that despair bring me down. And don't get me wrong, for a few months, I did teeter on the edge of falling into the abyss. But I leaned into my spirituality and my craft. And by doing that, I gained a foothold into the next stage of my spiritual journey. And so as I was trying to sort through the aftermath of this traumatic, life-altering experience, I finally decided it was time for me to take a leave of absence from work. And during that time, after a few months more went by, I realized, I have this time. I've been working so hard that it's a detriment to my health and my life. And I've built up a substantial retirement because of that. So I'm going to use some of that, and I'm going to go to Europe. I'd always wanted to do that. I have always wanted to go to Europe and backpack and just travel. And so I didn't even know what the whole destination would be or how long I would be there. I just followed each breadcrumb, and the first breadcrumb was go to Dublin, go to Ireland. And so I booked a ticket to Ireland. And I had no idea where else I was going after Ireland, but I putzed around in Ireland for a while, and I decided that it was time to go to England. So there's a ferry from Dublin to Wales in Holyhead in England. And so I decided to book a hostel in Wales on Holyhead and go and stay. And so I did. So on my first day in Holyhead, there weren't hardly any people in my hostel yet. I guess I had timed it just right. And so I decided to explore the island of Holyhead. And I looked at a brochure. There were some bikes that you could rent and go around from the hostel. And so I got on a bike and I went and found this small group of standing stones. And I'll throw up a picture here so you can look at them. And I got off my bike, crossed the fence to get to them because they're standing in this open field. and I could just feel the energy humming off of them. And I don't know why, but I decided I wanted to walk between them, even though something told me that maybe I shouldn't. But I just did. I walked between the standing stones, and I felt something shift. And that night in my hostel, some other people had arrived, and my friend Mike was there, who I will talk about more in a second. But, we introduced ourselves. We, did the normal questions you ask people when you're traveling. Where are you from? What are you doing? Kind of got to know each other a little bit. And that evening, we kind of turned in early. We were both really tired from our journey. And it was just the two of us in our hostel at that point. And I remember in the middle of the night being half asleep and tossing and turning and feeling this presence in the room and feeling terrified and struggling against it. And I heard Mike moaning in his sleep too, very uncomfortably. So I knew it wasn't just me dreaming. And I couldn't fight it off. Like, I kept struggling. And I called on Apollo, bless his wisdom, to help me. I said, "My Lord, I can't handle this myself. I'm being attacked in my sleep. Help me." And I immediately saw this, in my mind's eye, brilliant light as from heaven come and slam down next to me. And he was wearing this amazing, ornate golden armor, and he had a shield and a sword. And then all of a sudden, I was wearing a shield and a sword, and we went to battle with this thing, and we banished it. But I knew, after the fact, that not only did he have my back, but that I probably shouldn't have walked through those fairy stones, because I attracted something when I did that. And therein is a lesson that when we walk this path of witchcraft and magic, especially when in some ways we are missing old lore, then we don't know the consequences of some of our actions. And I guess I probably should have known better. But sometimes practicing magic, if you don't take the proper precautions of protecting yourself, will attract attention that maybe you don't want. And that's exactly what happened when I walked through the standing stones. And seeing Apollo, bless his wisdom, come to my rescue, and not only in his full armored glory, golden and shining and fighting, but also that I got to wear armor and fight, it was amazing. And that was another component to this whole experience for me. And while I was in this hostel, I met this guy from Manchester, England, and he was really cool. We hit it off. We happened to be in the same room together in the hostel, and he was like, "Hey, you know what? I've been wanting to go and climb Mount Holyhead, which is the highest point in the UK. Do you want to go with me?" I was like, "Sure, that sounds like a great idea. What other chance am I going to have to do this?" Because he had a car and transportation, and so we hopped in this car the next day, and we took off to Holyhead, which was, I think, about a 2-hour trip from the hostel. And so we had packed a little. I wasn't planning on like mountain weather. I was stupid. I didn't know what I was doing. I should have known better because I'm a Boy Scout and I've been hiking and camping a lot. But for some reason, I guess I lost my mind and didn't dress warmly enough. Nor did we really have a lot of food. And so we climb way up on this mountain. And I'm talking like the highest point in the UK. And we somehow get lost. And there's supposed to be these markers, they're cairns of rock, but this is a mountain. There are rocks everywhere, so we can't really tell what the cairns, if what's a cairn and what's not. The trail gets missed, and we end up picking our way along this edge of a cliff because we really can't go back. And I remember looking down, and it's like 1,000-foot drop on my right. If I make a mistake, I'm dead. But I remain calm. And so we finally get through this really treacherous part. We get to the other side. We're still lost. The weather's changed. It's no longer sunny. It's getting cold. Dark's coming. And I'm thinking, I'm going to die on this mountain. I'm going to die. I've been stupid and I'm going to die. And I remember us just trying to figure this out. And the whole time I'm remaining pretty calm, but I can tell my panic's rising. And we didn't really have enough food. I was hungry. I remember this one point we stopped and I set my bag next to me to rest. And it fell off the side of the mountain and was just gone. And Mike was like yelling at me, "Ryan, are you all right?" Because he was kind of out of sight of me. It's like, yep, just my bag. I lost it. It's gone. Like, it had some things in it. Had any little bit of water or food I had was in there. It was gone. So now I'm starting to worry even more. And I remember this moment of complete panic where I just felt the panic coming on like I've never felt in my life. And then there's this other voice, this voice of reason that came to me, and it said, "Ryan, if you don't calm down, you're gonna die." So immediately I started to get calm again. And I recentered myself and I checked in, and the voice said, "You see that goat path down there? You need to be on that path." It was just as clear as day. Like, I had to be on that path. That was our way out. And so me and Mike, I convinced him this is the way to go, that we had to be down there. That was the way off the mountain. And we crab walked down the side of this mountain with scree slipping out from under us and rocks falling and all of that. And we finally made our way down to the goat trail, which led us back to the trail that led us back to where we started. And I was so thankful. And I'm so thankful for this experience itself still, because without that facing of death and knowing that I could check into my center and link with the gods and ask for their help, what I'm getting at is there's so many stories where people face traumatic, life-altering experiences, and they go on a journey, a walkabout, which was my walkabout in Europe, especially in Wales, and then they face death again. And that's exactly what happened to me, and it changed my life. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Being on that mountain, even the scary parts, was a beautiful experience. And the parts that weren't scary were even more beautiful. The land was beautiful. It was stunning. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. There were these huge boulders of milky quartz just sitting there. And I was astounded. Just huge chunks of quartz. And I love quartz. And I remember looking off before the sun had gone behind the clouds. I remember looking, you could see the ocean from there. It was stunning. You could see it shining golden in the sunlight. And there was this lake down there that you could see. And the purple heather all over the mountainsides. I mean, it was just stunning. So I had this wonderful experience where terror was mixed with beauty, where fear for my life was mixed with a deep spiritual connection. And I think that cannot be underrated. There are so many beautiful experiences that are also really intense and life-threatening. And I think if I hadn't decided to go on what I'm now calling my walkabout, I would have never had that experience. And I would have never transitioned over that block that I was having in my life before then. And so we finally get back to Mike's truck. And, we thought we were going to go up this mountain, take the trail that, we knew we would have to climb, but we thought that it wasn't going to take us very long. There was a train at the top that we were going to catch back down the mountain. No, none of that happened. We even had to go through a part of the mountain called the Crab Walk. And the reason they call it a crab walk is because it's literal, about like 3 feet wide, a meter wide, and it's a sheer drop on either side. And they call it a crab walk because there's few people that will walk straight across it without crab crawling across it, which is exactly what we did. I was not going to stand up. Like, I'd had enough. But anyway, so we finally did get back to his truck, and we were starving because we've been gone like 10 hours. We were not planning on that. And he had a camp stove, and he had plenty of food in his truck. He cooked up a breakfast type thing for us. It was amazing. And it was probably the best meal I've ever had. So for the most part, that sums up my time in Holyhead, at least the parts that were spiritually significant. And my journey continued. I was in Europe for 10 weeks, and I have several other experiences. One in particular, I went to Delphi, I'll link here. But my point is that when we have these major life changes, these traumatic experiences, witchcraft provides us a way to move beyond them. And not only move beyond them, because it's not like closing the door on them and pretending they didn't happen. It's leaning into them and asking ourselves what they can teach us, and following the breadcrumbs that come out of that questioning heart, that questioning mind. And my questioning of my situation, okay, well, this happened. What can I learn from it? My asking for guidance of deity and of the powers that be allowed me to go on this amazing spiritual journey, this amazing spiritual trial, this walkabout that has changed my life forever and allowed me to move up the spiral of growth and evolution and power. And so if you find yourself in that situation, or a similar situation, or have been in a similar situation, or you come up on one later in your life, know that the craft provides you the means by which you can overcome, and not only overcome, grow. Well, I hope that this video has been valuable to you. Please subscribe. Please comment. I read all the comments and I respond to all of them. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can also find me on Instagram at dark.winter.moon, or on my website, www.darkwintermoon.boston. And as always, thanks again for watching. I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Blessed be, and I love ya. Bye.